you to Jana and the Bath Township Public Library for starting this ukulele class. I came to the open house a month or 6 weeks ago or so, and I said, well, what? Have you guys ever had a ukulele class here at the library? She said, no, but it'd be so much fun. So we put it together, and I think we're going to have a good time, get you learning the there you go. It's magic.
Very good.
So my name's Ben Hassenger. I'm born and raised in Lansing, and now live down on Upton Road. In 2009, I went to Hawaii, and believe it or not, there was an ukulele festival going on. And so I said, well, this sounds like fun. And I played guitar, but I picked up a uke a couple times, but was mainly a guitar player. And there were all these people sitting there watching all these great players from Hawaii. There were a lot of people from Japan, it's because it's a big deal there and it's pretty close. And speaking of Sweden, there were 4 women from Sweden that were playing ukulele and singing in Swedish, which I thought was pretty interesting. So anyway, everybody was having such a great time. And I called my friend, Stan Werben, who owns Elderly Instruments, who's always been an ukulele guy. I said, Stan, you've been right all along. This is the neatest thing going. So we started the Lansing Area Ukulele Group, LAUGH it's called. And we started that in September of 2009. And then I started the Mighty Uke Day Ukulele Festival in 2011, which is in Old Town. Well, it hasn't been the last 2 years, but it will be again next year, we hope. And then that ended up generating some income, and we started the Music is Foundation 501c3, which is what is sponsoring this today. Okay? And you'll all get a notebook, and you can read all this stuff later. But what I want to do, there's a movie called The Mighty Uke, and that's what we named Mighty Uke Day after. It was made by 2 Canadians, Tony Coleman and Margaret Maher. And this is the trailer for it. And I think it gives a nice little background on the ukulele, shows what the ukulele is all about. So why don't we play this? So I think one of the things that really shows is how the ukulele is a communal instrument. Everybody's playing together in groups. We have our big Lansing Area Ukulele Group, and pre-pandemic we'd get 80 to 100 people every second Saturday of the month. And I've done ukulele things at the East Lansing Art Fair, where we'd be under a big tent, have like 150 to 200 people playing. I call it the most folk of folk instruments because it brings folks together. And that's one of the things I really love about it. Does anyone know what the word ohana means? The Hawaiian word ohana? Family. The first time I did that with a group of kids, everybody knew it. I'm going, how do you know it? Well, it was in Lilo and Stitch, I guess. So, yeah, ohana means family, and I think of us as a big ukulele family. And the company that helps sponsor these is actually named Ohana. Probably the best buy for the money you can get in an ukulele. How about aloha? What's that mean?
Hello, goodbye.
Both, right. And how about mahalo? What do you say if someone does something nice for you?
Thank you.
That's what mahalo means in the Hawaiian language. So let's talk a little bit about the parts of the ukulele. All right. Does it work? Oh no, it doesn't work like that. Darn it.
I'm just trying to go with that.
Have any of you played guitar before? Okay.
All right, where are we going?
Just to that.
To this? Okay.
Oh yeah, well this talks about the, like they said in the movie, it's actually a derivation of a Portuguese instrument. Back in the mid-1800s, which is even before I was born, the Portuguese came over to work in Hawaii, And they brought their instruments, the machete, and a couple other ones. And the Hawaiians just love the sound of it, and they adapted those instruments into what's known as the ukulele. The ukulele is, do you know what ukulele means in the Hawaiian language? What do you think? What's that?
Music?
Music. Some people say tiny guitar, right? Well, what it really means is jumping flea. It probably says that in there somewhere.
Third paragraph down.
There you go, the jumping flea, because when they were playing, their fingers were moving so quickly up and down on the strings, it was like a little bug jumping on the strings. So if you're ever at a party, you know, in the, you know how you get those lulls in conversation, if you want to say something, you could say, hey, do you know what the ukulele means in English? Jumping flea, and they'll either, my experience is they usually leave, but, you know. So, let's, we can go to the next page. You guys can read that stuff, you know, at home. You can take these books home. So, let's talk a little bit about the ukulele. You people that are guitar players will know all these parts. Here we have, I always like to say that ukulele is like a little baby, okay? And a little baby, you don't drop it on the floor, right? You're real gentle with it. This is the body. This is the head stock. And in between the body and the head is a neck, right? We have the bridge, the saddle, which the strings go over. These are the tuning pegs, and when you get your ukulele, you guys will probably, I always, every time I do a class with kids, they always start turning the, don't turn them because I tuned it, okay? That changes the tuning of the strings, the tuning machines, and this is the nut, okay? And the tuning of the ukulele, the string closest to my head is G. The next string is C. Next string is E. And the string close to the ground. This is so you don't have to put your water. Oh, okay, thanks. The string close to the ground, I like to say, is the Upper Peninsula string A. Terrible joke, I know.
Sure, eh?
Yeah, or it's a Canadian A.
Eh?
Right. Thank you. Put all my stuff here. So it's G, let's say it together, G, C, E, A. I like to remember it. Well, I have this as my license plate, so I always remember that. But I like to say, good children eat apples. G, C, E, A. Okay?
So that's your white banner from last time.
Yeah. How'd you guess? Hey there, it's Mr. Ben, and I'm going to show you how to hold your ukulele. The first thing is you take your right arm, or your strumming arm if you're left-handed, which would be your left arm, but usually it's going to be your right arm, and you tuck it right in the crook of your arm, like this, and you'll be able to hold it without having to use your other hand. And what you want to do is pretty much keep your arm right against the ukulele, and you'll find out why in a minute. And wherever your hand ends up on the neck is fine. Don't try to play over the sound hole because your arm just won't do it unless you have like T-Rex arms, okay? So just put it in the crook of your arm. Wherever your hand falls naturally is fine. And then your left hand, your fretting hand, you're going to put your thumb right on the back of the neck. Put your fingers to form the chord. And when you strum, you're just moving your wrist, not your whole arm. If you are not holding it correctly, you might be trying to do this, and you just don't have much control over the strum. So put it in the crook of your arm, lay your arm across the top of the ukulele, and strum. Thumb kind of right on the back of the neck, especially when you're starting out, because this will help you press down more firmly on the chords, on the strings to make a chord, okay? So let's just go through the strings again. G, C, E, A again. G, C, E, A. Okay. So let's learn our first chord. Everybody's got theirs fairly clear? Getting there?
Do you only ever strum with your thumb?
What's that?
Do you only ever strum with your thumb?
No.
Oh.
And that's what I'm going to show you right now. I rarely strum with my thumb.
Oh, okay.
But when everybody starts out, they always want to get their thumb. So I want to start you off first with probably the most preferred way to strum. So take your hand, curl up your fingers like this, okay? And what you want to do is you're going to kind of flick your finger across the strings. Okay? So turn your wrist though. Do it with your wrist. Use your index finger again. Looks like you're using your thumb. Okay? You give it that little flick, and it helps you hit all the strings at the same time. Do it with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Try to move just your wrist. See if you keep. What's your name with the red?
Aubrey.
Aubrey. So Aubrey, if you tuck it in, this is why you want to tuck it in your crook of your arm, because that stops your whole arm from moving. Okay? And then you just use your wrist. You too. Just your wrist. Try to use just your wrist. It's kind of like you're turning a doorknob. And I'm flicking my finger, and it lets me hit all 4 strings pretty much at the same time.
Is it your finger or your nail touching?
What's that?
Is it your finger or
I'm hitting it with my nail.
Okay, because I touch it with my nail.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm doing it with my nail on the downstroke. Okay? So, what goes down must come up, right? You gotta come up to go down again. So why don't we try to hit on the upstroke, hit it with the fleshy part of that finger, like this. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Like I said, try to mobilize most of your arms so you're just using your wrist. Headbang with it if you want. The ukulele is a real headbanging instrument, you know. Okay? Here again, this is something to practice on when you get home. We're going to arrange so you can take a loaner ukulele home. You'll just have to. She's got a sheet that you can sign it out. And you'll just be responsible for it, you know, if you sit on it or something, which I had one kid do in a class. Oh no. He brought it back, the neck was broken off the body. What'd you do? I sat on it. Okay, so let's do a couple songs with just the C chord. Now the first song is a great song I wrote called Row, Row, Row Your Boat. You don't believe me. So let's get the strum. We're gonna play. Which chord is this?
C.
C chord. So here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Row your boat gently down the stream, down. Merrily, merrily, merrily. let's do it again. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Hey, we all stopped at the same time. We're all like, what's your name?
Nellie?
One of the Simpsons. If you can try to keep your arm right against the ukulele and just twist your wrist, okay? That'll make it easier. If you're trying to play with your whole arm, you just don't have as much control, okay? I mean, you do a Pete Townsend or something. Just don't smash it afterwards, okay? So let's do another song, and maybe we'll do this once, and then maybe Janet can help me do it in a round. Look at, she's going, yeah, I can do that. So I'll do this song I wrote called Ukulele. Sounds a lot like some other song. So let's get ready, get in ready position with your C chord. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and ukulele. Ukulele, ukulele, let it play, let it play. We'll have lots of fun, we'll have lots of fun every day, every day. Again, ukulele, ukulele, let it play, let it play. We'll have lots of fun, we'll have lots of fun every day. And now keep strumming. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a round. So right down the middle, this side, you 5 people, and you 6 people are 2 different groups. So we're going to start you guys with the ukulele, ukulele, let it play, and then I'm going to signal you guys to start singing ukulele. Okay? Let's see if we can do this. First, group 1. Here we go. Ukulele, ukulele, let it play. Ukulele, ukulele, let it fun, let it fun. We'll have lots of fun, we'll have lots of fun every day, every day. How did that work out? We kept our parts. It's a little hard hearing everybody sing. You got the mask on. But, so, that's the C chord. The next chord is going to be the C7th chord. So the C7th chord, we're going to play just behind the 1st fret on the A string. And since we're behind the 1st fret, let's see, on the 3rd fret we use what? Our 3rd finger. Behind the 1st fret we're going to use our 1st. You guys are quick. Okay. So that's the C7th chord. You hear the difference between the sound to C. C sounds all happy, right? C7 sounds a little funky. Hear that difference? Okay, so we've got a couple songs we can do with just the C7th chord. Later on, you'll find the C7th chord is really good for moving from the C chord to the F chord. After we learn the F chord, a nice transition chord. So let's get our C7th chord, and we can play 3 different songs. Shimmy Shimmy Cocoa Bop, the coconut song, remember that one? Doctor, and Electric Avenue. You can also do Chain of Fools with 1 chord. If you want to get your Aretha on, you know.
Dad, can you see if that's where, is that Where I need to be, right here?
No, you want to put it on, there's no dot on the one we're going to do here.
Oh,
Well, yours does have a dot for some reason.
right here?
I loaned these to another music teacher. Yep.
Okay. So it's
First fret on the A string.
A, oh, A, okay.
Right, but the first fret is not this part, that's the nut.
That's a nut, yeah, just
Okay, so down.
behind the first fret.
Okay.
Okay? Everybody got that? Okay? Now, here again, this is the way you're usually going to see a chord diagram for an ukulele. These are the strings. So we've got, what's that string?
G,
G.
C,
C,
E, A.
Right,
And then these are
press.
frets. Okay? So just so you know, sometimes you'll see it like sideways that way, you know, like it is when you're looking at the ukulele, but this is the most common chord diagram. So let's do our down and up strum. Now, did you notice before when we were playing that things started to speed up a little bit? I did.
oh,
And that's a real natural thing to do. So what I want you to do is put a little bit of an accent on the 2, the second downstroke, and the 4. And let me show you what I mean. Instead of just going, because then you start doing that, and it takes off faster and faster. But if you put a little bit of a groove in it, it helps you stay on tempo. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Again, you can headbang. We'll do some AC/DC later with this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. You're just going to hit it with a little more emphasis on the 2 and the 4. Most folk, country, rock songs in standard 4/4 time, usually you've got an accent on the 2 and the 4. If you clap along to a song, clap along on the 2 and the 4. Because friends don't let friends clap on the 1 and 3. Okay? There's actually a very cool Harry Connick Jr. video. He and the band are playing a gig in France. And, you know, he's a great piano player, growing up in New Orleans and real boogie-woogie stuff. He's like that. And the whole audience starts clapping on the 1 and the 3. And the drummer wants to come in, but he's looking at Harry like... So Harry actually throws one extra beat in a measure, and it's turned it all around. All of a sudden, they're on the 2 and the 4. The audience didn't know the difference, but the band was happy, and they all came in. So 2 and the 4, most songs. Every once in a while, we'll get a song, we'll accent the 1. Waltzes will accent the 1. But in our standard time, we're 90% of the time, a little bit of accent on the 2 and the 4.
so Ben, when you say 2 and the, are you going down is 1, up is,
No.
and,
So it's
and 2?
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2.
Good,
So your upstroke is the and,
gotcha.
okay? And if we get to it later on, we'll have some variations on the stroke where you leave out some of the ands, okay? But right now, it's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and okay? Upstroke's the and, downstroke's the number. So let's give it a try with these. Here we go. Yep. Ready? Position on your C7th chord. There we go. Okay. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Shimmy, shimmy, cocoa pop. Shimmy, shimmy, cocoa pop. Shimmy, shimmy, pop. Shimmy, shimmy, cocoa pop. Shimmy, shimmy, pop. the coconut song. Brother bought a coconut, he bought it for a dime. Sister had another one, she paid it for the lime. She put the lime in the coconut, she drank them both up. Put the lime in the coconut, she drank them both up. Put the lime in the coconut, she drank them both up. Put the lime in the coconut, she called the doctor, woke him up, said, "Doctor, is there nothing I can take?" I said, "Doctor, to relieve this belly ache." I said, "Doctor, is there nothing I can take?" I said, "Doctor, to relieve this belly ache." Now, what street do you think the doctor's office was on?
Electric Avenue.
Yeah, we're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. We're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. Okay, now let's keep strumming. I'm gonna split you up into 3 groups. Let's see. You 4. You guys are gonna be the Cocoa Box. And you're gonna sing Shimmy Shimmy Cocoa Box. Okay? Then let's see, you, this triangle, you, and you. You're gonna be, what's the next one? The Coconuts. Okay? And then the 2 in the back, and the 2 on the outside, you're gonna be the Kilowatts. And you guys did so good on a 2-part, we're gonna do a 3-part. And I'll signal you when you come in. So, Cocoa Box, you guys ready? So you gotta sing, shimmy, shimmy, cocoa pop, shimmy, shimmy, pop, shimmy, shimmy, cocoa pop, shimmy, shimmy, pop, ah, shimmy, shimmy, cocoa pop, shimmy, shimmy, pop. Sing it out through your mask. Shimmy, shimmy, cocoa pop. Now keep singing that. All right. Now the middle group, you're gonna sing, Doctor. Shimmy, shimmy, pop. Said, Doctor. Cocoa pop. Shimmy, shimmy, pop. They said, Doctor. Pop. Shimmy, shimmy, pop. Doctor. Cocoa pop. Shimmy, shimmy, pop. Now you guys keep doing your shimmy. And the doctors. Doctor. Okay, then you, on the outside, you're gonna sing, we're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. We're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. Down to Electric Avenue, I said, and then we'll take it higher. I said, shimmy, cocoa pop, shimmy, shimmy, pop, the doctor higher. Let's all end up with shimmy, shimmy, cocoa pop. Shimmy, shimmy, cocoa pop, shimmy, shimmy, pop, shimmy, shimmy, cocoa pop, shimmy, shimmy, pop, ah, shimmy, shimmy, cocoa pop, shimmy, shimmy, pop, shimmy, shimmy, cocoa pop, shimmy, shimmy, pop, ah. That's pretty cool. Most songs you can't play with 1 chord. Whether it's a C chord or the C7 chord, usually you need at least 2 chords, and 3 or 4 is even better. So what we're going to do is learn the F chord. For you guitar players, this is like a C chord. So what we're going to do, if you look at the chord diagram on the, what string is this one again?
G.
G string. We're just behind the
Second fret.
second fret. So we're gonna use which finger?
2.
Our middle finger, our second finger, right? Like this. Get a nice arch with it. And then the next string, the C string, is open, right? We're not putting our finger anywhere. Let's see, G, C, E. We're gonna use our index finger because we're just behind the first fret. Okay, and then the C string again, no finger on it. It's called an open string. So the trick with this one is getting this nice arch on your fingers. Okay, because you don't want your finger to go over and kind of just hit the other string, because then it's gonna go like this. Instead of like this, it's gonna go. Okay, it's gonna kind of mute that string. So get your thumb behind the neck. Get a nice arch on your fingers. Look at this. We're using one just behind the first fret, our second finger just behind the second fret, and then when we have to go to a C chord, what are we going to do? We're going to use which finger? Third finger, our ring finger, just behind the third fret. So changing between chords, switching between chords, you're going. Your hand's right in the position to go to the C chord and back to the F. Okay? So let's try that nice and slow, just switching back and forth. And I'll do the F like this, and I'll do the C like this. You don't have to do that. It's just a visual indicator to tell you when to switch. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and 4, and F. C. So it's going to start on F. You guys know this song? Never heard of it. I wrote this song too. That's my name, traditional. Here we go. So here we go. Let's start with the F chord. Ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. What are we going to do the accent on? Which beats?
2 and 4.
Good. If you learn nothing else from today, you learn the accents on the 2 and the 4. So here we go. Hush, little baby, see, don't say a word. Papa's gonna buy F you a mockingbird. And if that mockingbird won't sing, Mama's gonna buy you a diamond ring. And if that diamond ring turns to brass, Papa's gonna buy you a looking glass. And if that looking glass gets broke, Mama's gonna buy you a billy goat. And if that billy goat won't pull, Papa's gonna buy you a cart and bull. And if that cart and bull turn over, Mama's gonna buy you a dog named Rover. And if that dog named Rover won't bite, Papa's gonna buy you a horse and cart. And if that horse and cart fall down, you'll still be the sweetest little baby in town.
Yeah.
Wow, we all ended at the same time.
You know what?
Man, I've been in plenty of bands that don't do that. You guys are pretty good. So that's between the F and the C chord, okay? And there's a few different songs here that we have. Ooh, that was a good one for Halloween. Let's go, let me just show you this one. And you guys can play around with these at home. This we're gonna go from the F to the C seventh chord. The stars at night are big right, deep in the heart of Texas. So it's kind of hard to clap when you're playing the ukulele, so I just tap on the ukulele 4 times, okay? So let's do that with the C 7th chord. And then I'll give you your homework assignment. Woo! It's more fun than regular homework, though, okay? So let's start with the F chord. Everybody ready? Ready position with your F? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Notice I'm doing a little faster. Here we go. The stars at night are big and bright. Deep in the heart, C-sub Texas. The prairie sky, it is wide and high. Deep in the heart of Texas, we're on F. The sage in bloom is like perfume. Deep in the heart of Texas, the remedy of the one I love. Deep in the heart of Texas, the coyotes wail. The coyotes wail all along the trail. Deep in the heart of Texas, the rabbits rush around the brush. Deep in the heart of Texas, the cowboys cry, ki-yippee-yi. Deep in the heart of Texas, the doggies bawl and bawl and bawl. Deep in the heart of Texas. Oh, we almost ended it. So, do you see, I noticed a couple people, after we stop with the claps, we still will stay on the F until we see the C 7th chord. Same thing here, when we stop with the claps, we're still going to stay on the C 7th until you see the F, okay? So a lot of people, there's a bunch of different ways to write out music. Sometimes they put the chord diagrams on the top. I like to do it this way, when it takes up, otherwise you have twice as many lines, right? But so generally what you're going to see in this, the chord is going to be, you're going to change the chord before the next word or the next syllable. Okay? So I think that's probably it for today. Thank you so much. I think we got a good start on things. If you want to take an ukulele home, you can, like I said, you can sign them out. Just make sure you bring it back next week, or we're not going to have enough ukuleles. And keep your book, and you'll be able to go to the Bath Library YouTube page, and they're going to upload our lesson that we just did. So if you're unclear on something, you can look back on that and play with it. But what you want to do is work on your up and down strum, just with your wrist and your index finger. You're going to want to work on the accent on the 2 and 4. You're going to want to work on your C chord, your C 7th chord, and the F chord. And the F chord especially, you're really going to want to get that nice arch so you can get it to ring clean. And anyone's fingers a little bit sore?
Yeah.
A little bit. How are you going to make it so that they're not sore anymore?
Keep practicing.
Practice and build calluses, right? So, yeah, sometimes a little bit, it starts to hurt at first, but the more you play, you get those calluses, and it'll be fine. All right, any questions before we go?
Do you typically, sorry, do you
Go
get the calluses on just the ones that are holding the strings, or do you get?
Yeah, yeah. The more you press down on it, it starts to harden up.